Hello, I'm Dr Ellie Cannon and I'm here to answer the questions you've sent in about coronavirus. The best way to reduce your risks when you're out in public are to make sure you are maintaining at least 1 meter distance between yourself and other people. Wear a face covering, particularly when you are in shops or in close contact, like on public transport. And make sure you wash your hands when you arrive somewhere or when you get home. The shielding programme in the UK finishes on the 1st of August, and people who were shielding no longer have to. But the advice is to still be extra cautious. Make sure you are washing your hands, socially distancing, so keeping 2 meters away from other people if you can, and wear a face mask or a face covering to protect yourself. Although now restrictions have been lifted on visiting our elderly relatives, of course they remain the most vulnerable groups. So it's best to still be as cautious as you can be, washing hands, disinfecting surfaces, and as much as you can, trying to socially distance and reduce that sort of contact that may transmit the virus. Wearing a mask or a face covering certainly reduces your risk of catching coronavirus, but more importantly, it also reduces the risk of you giving coronavirus to other people. Wearing a face mask or a face covering is one of the ways now, as well as hand washing, as well as social distancing, that we can all help to prevent the spread of the virus. And the answer to that is yes, you can. On public transport, you have to wear a face covering, and using a scarf or a cotton face covering that you've made at home is absolutely fine, as long as it's covering your nose and your mouth. The most important thing with a face mask or a face covering is that you cover your nose and your mouth, and make sure the covering is tightly over the nose so it makes a nice close fit on your face. Try and not touch your mask too often, and always wash your hands before you put your mask on and when you take it off. You don't have to wear a mask when you're outdoors. Most of the time when you're out and about, you're able to keep quite far away from other people. So we're all much better at socially distancing. But also we know that the transmission of the virus is far less when we're in the outdoors compared to when we're inside. So there's no need to have a mask on in those circumstances. Although you don't have to, it's actually really sensible to come in from work and to have a shower and to wash your clothes. The chances are there's very little risk of picking up coronavirus in that way, but having the shower and making sure you've washed your clothes just reduces your risk even further. So it's a really sensible thing to do. The programme for shielding ends on August the 1st, and people who have been shielding have been advised they can go back to work. And that's also the case for people who are high risk for any other reason. But of course, that very much depends on what work you do, what the risks are at work, and also your own personal health risks. So you need to discuss that with your doctor and with your employer. And the answer to that is yes, it certainly seems like it is much less likely to catch the virus when we are outside. That is why when restrictions first started to be lifted, we were allowed to do outdoor activities first of all. So if you do have the opportunity to see friends or to sit in a restaurant outside rather than inside, that will be better. And the answer is, unfortunately, that we just don't know. Winter is a cause for concern because obviously we have a lot of other viruses circulating at that time, particularly flu and particularly cold. And we just don't know at this stage whether or not the coronavirus is dependent on seasons and on the weather. So we all just have to carry on following the advice to hand wash and to disinfect surfaces, as well as be as careful as we can to prevent the second wave. Thank you for listening today. It has been a worrying time for all of us, but now that we're all going out again, we can all stay safe by following the advice and the guidelines.